So you may have noticed there's quite a trend at the moment for people talking about the carnivore or animal-based diet. Well, how can this help my hormones and going through the peri to postmenopause transition? Well, it can help in a number of ways, actually. So, contrary to popular belief, eating meat can actually have a lot of health benefits for us, particularly if we have hormone or gut imbalances. And there's a lot of reasons for this. The first big one is because we naturally, by eating animal foods, we increase our fat consumption. And of course, back in the 80s and early 90s, there would have just been shock horror about that. But the bit that was really mistaken in that big low fat trend is that fat is needed for us to actually make our hormones. So without fat, we are not going to make our hormones and therefore will be hormonally imbalanced. So a lot of the people going through the peri to postmenopause transition now have spent quite a lot of the 80s, 90s, early noughties on a low fat diet. And this could be one of the reasons why you might be struggling in peri to postmenopause compared to our grandmothers, our aunties, etc. I think about my grandmother, and she was eating, beef dripping back then. So we need to reframe fat. Also, with the carnivore diet, we remove common food intolerances. So there are a lot of foods that we would eat on the daily that are considered health foods that actually can be causing a lot of problems. So common things like grains, milk, or in some cases, dairy as a whole food category. Deadly nightshades, so potatoes, tomatoes, aubergines, peppers, they can be causing problems. Some people are really intolerant to nuts and seeds, and then other people are even, struggling with things like allium. So that's your onions, your garlic, your leek. And for others who've got a real history of inflammation, they might even have a problem with good old broccoli and kale. So we need to be able to identify what those issues are and start to remove them. And actually, that's what the carnivore diet is good for. In peri to postmenopause, we become insulin resistant. And so that means we don't process sugars and carbs very well. And so naturally, on a more animal-based diet, we're removing carbs. And so whilst we don't want to ever make demonize them, and we definitely want to get to a point where people are able to eat carbs and tolerate them, actually by removing them to begin with, you can then get your insulin sensitivity back. And a lot of people are concerned, do I only have to eat meat? Well, there's two schools of thought on that. Some schools of thought say, yes, only eat meat, but others say, well, actually, primitively, we would have eaten seasonal fruits. Key is seasonal. We really shouldn't be eating blueberries in December. Seasonal fruits, and that would be sweet fruits and savory fruits, like a butternut squash is a savory fruit. We would have also eaten honey, and we would have eaten raw dairy because we've been living alongside those animals that give dairy. So both those systems are great, but it depends on your symptoms as to where to start. And a lot of people then ask, well, are there any health risks of being on a carnivore diet? And really, the key is making sure you're not eating a lot of processed meats. We know that anything that came out of a factory is not great for us. So anything that's got lots of nitrates in it or, processed foods, we want to avoid that. We always want to be eating those fresh, whole foods. People are concerned about getting enough nutrients. So a lot of carnivores talk about eating the offal because that's where all the vitamins and minerals are. I personally find offal abhorrent, and a lot of people do. And so you can actually supplement with desiccated organs instead. And with all things, I just think it's really good idea that if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, to just not start anything when you're pregnant or breastfeeding and just go really carefully and do a lot of research. Do you have anything to add there, Laura, about benefits of the carnivore diet?
I was going to say, I think what is so unique about what we offer is that we've got a lot of experience of working with the carnivore diet with clients and also personally ourselves. But it's the lens that we look at the carnivore diet through a hormonal perspective. So we look at it as, like you mentioned, it is balancing blood sugars, how meat protein can help support estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, how it supports the gut, how it works with the gut, what types of meat to eat when you have gut disturbance. We work a lot with people who have hormone imbalances and gut disturbances. So we have a lot of experience of being able to guide someone through the minefield of adopting a carnivore diet for health purposes. So if this is something that you are interested in and you want to get that perspective of, yes, I'm interested in adopting a carnivore style eating, but I want to know how that is going to affect my hormones. Is it going to help my menopause? How's it going to affect my gut? Then we are the best place to go to be able to get that information. So check out our clinic on the other page.